No one realized the world had already changed until people stepped outside and looked up into the stillness of the night. At first it seemed subtle, almost easy to dismiss, as a strange silver thread stretched across the sky, thin and glowing like a scar carved through the darkness. Within hours, observatories, military satellites, and research stations across the planet confirmed a reality that shattered every scientific assumption humanity had ever trusted. The sky above Earth was no longer natural, and the incoming data made it clear that this night would divide human history forever into two distinct chapters, everything before the ring and everything after it. At the Monarch Observation Facility, senior astronomer Dr. Julian Vance stood frozen on the viewing deck with a thermal scanner hanging loosely from his hand, watching the silver light pulse in a rhythm that felt disturbingly alive. Looking down at his tablet, expecting to confirm a harmless comet trajectory, the calculations made his stomach drop. The object known as 3IATLAS had stopped behaving like a comet, transforming into something structured, intentional, and entirely impossible. Only a short time earlier, scientists believed 3IATLAS was another routine interstellar visitor passing through our solar system. Its projected path was completely harmless, passing Earth at a safe distance of 1.22 million kilometers before gravity redirected it back into deep space. Researchers prepared for a standard observation event, the kind that becomes another archive paper buried in scientific databases. Then, every monitoring station tracking Atlas detected a maneuver that no natural object should have been capable of performing. The comet's rotation stopped completely. For months, Atlas had rotated steadily once every 8 hours, but over the span of just 3 minutes, its angular momentum dropped to zero. In the vacuum of space, with no atmospheric drag and no visible propulsion, a 12-kilometer-wide mass halted its spin with perfect precision, leaving researchers stunned across the globe. There were no explosions, no gas emissions, and no visible engines, yet something had halted the massive body entirely. Scientists initially believed the tracking instruments were malfunctioning, but radar stations soon delivered even worse news. The comet had fractured apart, not chaotically like a dying asteroid breaking under thermal stress, but into exactly 360 fragments of nearly identical mass. Every single fragment accelerated outward at precisely 40 meters per second, proving to every watching astronomer that this was not destruction, but structured construction. Around the world, observatories watched in disbelief as the glowing chain of fragments stretched across the darkness with mathematical perfection. If even one fragment had drifted slightly off course, the entire formation would have collapsed instantly. But the line curved smoothly into Earth's gravity, well as if calculated long in advance. According to every known law of orbital mechanics, the fragments should have scattered back into deep space or crashed into the upper atmosphere. Instead, at the exact moment of closest approach, all 360 pieces emitted synchronized bursts of infrared energy and slowed themselves down simultaneously. The maneuver closely resembled advanced satellite insertion technology, except it was being executed by hundreds of separate objects acting with the perfect coordination of a single mind. Within minutes, the fragments locked themselves into geosynchronous orbit exactly 35,786 kilometers above Earth's surface. Each fragment was spaced exactly 111 kilometers apart, with an error margin smaller than 10 meters. Nature does not create symmetry like this, leading scientists to the terrifying question no one wanted to say out loud. If this structure was engineered, what was it built to do? The terrifying answer began to unfold the moment the final fragment snapped into position above the equator. Across the planet, monitoring stations detected a deep electromagnetic pulse moving continuously through Earth's magnetosphere. At first, it sounded like simple background interference, but researchers soon realized the signal perfectly matched the Schumann resonance, the natural electromagnetic pulse generated by our own planet's core and atmosphere. The ring was not broadcasting randomly into space. It was tuned specifically to Earth itself. According to classical physics, a rigid orbital ring should be inherently unstable, as gravitational pulls from the moon alone should slowly distort it until the entire structure tears apart. Yet the Atlas ring remained perfectly fixed, as if gravity no longer applied to it, anchoring itself directly to Earth's magnetic field lines and riding the magnetosphere like a massive planetary railway. Material analysis performed by high-altitude spectroscopic scans revealed that the fragments contained no ice, rock, or interstellar dust, but were constructed from carbon nanotube lattices and metallic compounds completely unknown to modern chemistry. Even more alarming, every fragment displayed room-temperature superconductivity in open space with zero resistance. Humanity had struggled for decades to achieve that breakthrough in controlled laboratories, yet this structure was doing it effortlessly on a planetary scale. The ring was harvesting energy. As Earth rotated inside the superconductive shell, enormous electrical currents began moving through the structure, creating a planetary generator activating in real time. Trillions of joules were being collected every second, and because fundamental conservation laws demand a cost, Earth's rotation began to slow by fractions of a millisecond, carrying catastrophic implications once the full picture became clear. When scientists confirmed Earth's rotation had been altered, a global panic quietly began behind closed doors. Governments kept the information strictly classified, financial markets remained open, and people walked through crowded city streets completely unaware that the physical length of their day had been altered by an orbiting structure. Inside observatories and deep military bunkers, fear took over because the incoming numbers no longer pointed toward an astronomical anomaly, but engineering on an incomprehensible scale. Every fragment in the ring suddenly tilted toward the same region of deep space, moving together with perfect synchronization toward the Pleiades star cluster. Tracking systems calculated an alignment accuracy beyond humanity's best deep space targeting systems, proving the ring was locking onto a specific stellar coordinate to transmit or receive a message that involved the entire planet. The situation escalated further when every fragment erupted with brilliant violet plasma discharges, releasing streams of highly energized particles that connected the nodes until the orbital structure appeared as a glowing halo wrapped around Earth. Social media exploded with viral footage, but scientists studying the atmospheric changes understood this was not a decoration, but containment. Sensors recorded a sudden 40% increase in ionospheric density, causing communication satellites to fail, long-range radio transmissions to fade into static, and deep space probes to lose connection entirely. Whatever the ring had activated was sealing the planet inside a synthetic electromagnetic shell, effectively isolating humanity from the rest of the universe and trapping us inside our own sky. Inside the Pentagon Space Force Command Center, General Marcus Thorne stood in front of massive displays, showing pulsing interference after live feeds from deep space telescopes vanished simultaneously. In their place appeared strange rhythmic patterns buried inside layers of static that repeated in deliberate intervals like a language. Before analysts could investigate further, thermal mapping satellites over the Pacific Ocean detected massive activity deep beneath the water that was not driven by volcanic heat. Data from deep-sea sonar arrays showed violent movement near the Mariana Trench, 11,000 meters beneath the surface, where something enormous had awakened. It was not biological or geological, but an artificial geometric structure almost identical to the ring now surrounding Earth. Buried beneath millions of years of accumulated sediment and rock, the construct had remained dormant at the bottom of the ocean, waiting for the Atlas ring to turn it on. Massive energy pulses moved between the orbital structure and the submerged construct beneath the Pacific. Earth itself began reacting on a structural level. Seismic monitors across the Ring of Fire recorded unusual resonance waves spreading through tectonic plates, causing entire continental landmasses to vibrate together as though the planet had become part of a massive machine. At the same time, neuroscience labs around the world began recording thousands of reports of strange memories that did not belong to the people experiencing them, including hyperreal visions of ancient landscapes beneath purple skies and unfamiliar constellations. Millions described identical experiences without any prior connection to one another across different continents. Advanced brain scans proved that the phenomenon was not mass hysteria, as hospitals reported the exact same neurological anomaly appearing in patients simultaneously. The same regions of the brain were firing, as though the human mind itself was receiving external data input, a process researchers labeled the collective echo. Children, elderly patients, and scientists from completely different cultures drew identical symbols and described the exact same impossible geometric cities. The human race was beginning to share a single, unified consciousness, but evidence quickly proved that this experience was far from a simple psychological event. Deep inside a classified neuroscience facility beneath Geneva, researchers studying the electromagnetic emissions from the ring discovered that the signal broadcast by the structure perfectly overlapped with the frequency range of human alpha brainwaves. The ring was not simply surrounding Earth physically, it was interfacing directly with human consciousness itself by bypassing technology and connecting straight to the human brain. Electrical systems continued failing, GPS networks drifted off course, and the global internet slowed into usable chaos, yet human communication became strangely direct. People reported sensing emotions before words were spoken and experiencing shared thoughts across vast distances, as though human minds were becoming individual processing nodes in a growing planetary network. Researchers soon uncovered the true scale of the system orbiting above them, realizing that the 360 fragments were individual quantum processing units acting within a planetary-scale computational structure. The ring functioned as a giant, coherent computer wrapped around Earth, with the submerged construct in the Mariana Trench acting as a planetary receiver buried long before human civilization ever existed. Ancient myths about gods descending from the heavens, stories of great floods, and historical monuments aligned perfectly with distant stars suddenly began to fit a clear and terrifying pattern. Humanity had never been alone, and Earth itself had always been infrastructure waiting for a planned activation event. The energy drain quickly accelerated, slowing Earth's rotation by nearly 2 full seconds every single day and triggering visible consequences across the globe. Tidal systems destabilized, ocean currents shifted unpredictably, and severe earthquakes erupted along major fault lines. These quakes behaved strangely, with geological sensors showing tectonic plates softening under intense vibrational stress as the planet's crust entered a state of superplasticity. The Atlas ring was no longer just harvesting Earth's mechanical energy. It was physically reshaping the planet, like metal heated, until it could be molded by hand to prepare for a new structural reality. People everywhere began hearing a persistent low-frequency hum that resonated through buildings, oceans, and the human body itself. Animals reacted violently as migratory birds abandoned traditional routes, whales surfaced in massive numbers along coastlines, and domestic animals whimpered through the night while staring directly at the sky. Many people stopped sleeping entirely, claiming the signal was teaching them unknown languages and complex mathematical equations in their sleep. Artists began painting identical black circular structures before ever seeing footage of the ring, forcing scientists to confront the reality that humanity was not merely being invaded, but systematically rewritten from within. An announcement from the European Space Agency shattered what remained of rational understanding when researchers discovered that space-time was folding between each node in the ring. Miniature stabilized event horizons had formed across the structure, creating a controlled wormhole network surrounding the entire planet. Analysis of sunlight confirmed that the spectral signature of the sun had altered slightly, an event that does not happen overnight unless the planet is no longer orbiting its original star. Earth had been moved into a localized region of folded spacetime, separated completely from its original position in the solar system. The realization spread through scientific circles like a silent shockwave. Earth was no longer where it used to be. Humanity had spent generations searching for alien civilizations in deep space, never imagining that our entire planet could simply be removed from the cosmic map without warning. Evidence continued to build as solar radiation levels failed to match historical records, deep space pulsars appeared, displaced from their known coordinates, and cosmic background radiation carried subtle distortions. The planet had been relocated into an isolated gravitational chamber, trapped inside the impenetrable shell created by the Atlas ring. Every powered screen on Earth flickered simultaneously, displaying a black circular symbol slowly rotating against a deep violet background. The image triggered immediate neurological reactions in millions of viewers, causing nosebleeds, seizures, and overwhelming emotional waves. The image is then shifted to reveal real scenes from Earth's prehistoric history, showing ancient landscapes beneath purple skies where massive black structures stood across continents long before human history recorded them. Moving through those ancient lands were figures that looked human, but possessed unnaturally reflective eyes and perfectly synchronized movements. The transmission carried no spoken language, yet everyone understood its meaning instinctively. This entire process had happened before. The Atlas structure was not a ship, but a 10-million-year-old seed mechanism launched from the galactic center to cultivate worlds across evolutionary timescales. Civilizations were allowed to develop naturally until they reached a critical technological threshold involving artificial intelligence, quantum computation, and deep space communication networks. Once a species crossed that line, the seed activated to initiate the harvest, collecting every piece of information the civilization had ever produced. The Atlas system did not consume planets for physical raw materials. It consumed pure information, memories, creativity, culture, scientific breakthroughs, and every human thought were compressed into transferable data and copied into the galactic network. The collective echo spreading through humanity was the direct extraction of human consciousness. Meanwhile, lunar telescopes captured a second orbital structure assembling around the moon, using metallic material rising directly out of craters to build a relay station designed to amplify the data transmission leaving Earth into the deep cosmos. Inside Arctic research stations, the rapidly melting permafrost released billions of microscopic dormant bioprobes that entered freshwater systems worldwide. Infected individuals showed no signs of illness, but blood tests revealed accelerated cellular adaptation, including drastically improved oxygen efficiency, increased bone density, and heightened neural conductivity. The probes were rewriting the human genome to ensure survival in the harsh environmental conditions, intense gravitational pressures, and radiation levels of the new location waiting beyond the transition. Humanity was not being exterminated, but converted for the next phase of existence in a distant corner of space. The collective echo intensified beyond control as individual thoughts blended together, causing crowds to move in eerie synchronization and forcing entire cities into moments of complete silence where thousands stared at the sky simultaneously. Blurring the boundary between individual identity and the broader network, the sense of personal individuality began to fade rapidly into a unified planetary consciousness. At the same time, the brilliant violet glow surrounding Earth slowly darkened into an abyssal blackness that consumed the light of the stars behind it, signaling that the final stage of planetary transformation had arrived. The sky itself appeared to collapse into the orbital structure, locking the planet inside an artificial event horizon that severed the last visual links to the universe humanity once knew. As Earth completes its transition into this vast computational network and our minds merge into a single collective intelligence, the ultimate fate of human identity rests on what lies at the destination point. If you want to stay informed as this story unfolds and explore what lies beyond the final data transfer, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.